Hey, what's up, everyone? Hope everyone's doing well. So, while we're waiting, um, today we're going to talk a little bit more about the most common questions that's asked for vegans. Okay, so it's one of the reasons why I created this today. So, just as last week, like I said, just finished moving, just finished, getting the whole office all set up. Also, uh, just last week was my birthday, so had a small celebration, nothing too crazy. But overall, I'm here to answer any type of questions when it comes to being vegan. I know when it comes to being vegan, a lot of people do ask me tons of questions like where do you get the protein, can you build muscle as a vegan, is it possible to get all the nutrients that you need as a vegan? And I'll go over like some of the most common ones, but like with every live that I like to do, it's definitely an open platform, so if anyone has any type of questions or wants to just go ahead and comment, they can, and I'll go ahead and answer those questions accordingly. So, with that said, I think the best thing for us to do is, oh, and thank you, Mike, for the birthday wish. Um, but I think right now the best thing for us to do is go ahead and just answer some of the most basic questions that I usually get asked, and then like I said, I'll answer it. And if y'all have questions or any type of concerns about anything, it could be like health, fitness, nutrition, veganism, lifestyle, even you could ask me questions personally about my life, whatever. I'll answer that. Okay, but I remember when I first went vegan, one of the questions I had, even people would ask me, is like, where would you get protein? Right. That was definitely the biggest question that was asked, because a lot of people are looking for ways to get protein, even though protein is in everything. Because I feel that that's something that people are hyper fixated on, is where I get protein, veganism lack protein. They're not really focusing on micronutrients, right? Which I feel that's the most important thing. Like, people aren't really paying attention to hypernourishment, and a lot of people weren't thinking more about how to create a good gut biome. Okay, I think microbiome. I don't think people really pay too much attention to that, which these plays a bigger role than just protein and building muscle. Yeah, I feel like the protein thing is way overrated. But to answer the question, okay, when I went plant based, first, all plants have all the protein that you need. Okay, all plants. Now, the reason this when people say this, and the reason people get this statement miscommunicated or misconstrued, right, is mostly because they're comparing like one product to another product, right? Just like one on one. And this isn't how plant based or being vegan is, all right? Especially if you're consuming mostly a whole foods plant based diet, it's not exactly like that. Like, you can't compare a steak to a piece of banana, or steak to broccoli, and then kind of do it by gram per gram. Because no one eats like that on a plant based diet. Like, if they are, this is one of the reasons why they're malnourished, right? And they start hating veganism and they become ex-vegans, because they're not doing the diet itself right. Especially when it comes to living a whole foods plant-based diet, you can't you shouldn't be consuming about 35 cups of broccoli just to get the same amount of protein when it comes to steak. So to really make this reality, like make the answer more real, is abundance of different types of whole foods. That's how you get the protein that you need living on a plant-based diet. Especially if you need to get more protein into your diet, you want to get it through a majority of, or a diversity of different types of whole foods. So not just a banana, not just broccoli, but kale, nuts, seeds, grains, legumes, and then you have other alternative protein sources where you can get that. And this is something that I teach a lot of my students. Okay, I teach a lot of my students this. I teach them how to eat with balance. And one of the ways to be able to learn that, versus just like following recipes online and just trying to get these quick tips. Like I always recommend, and I say it a million times every time I do these lives, is first start tracking your calories and macros. You have to start tracking. All right. That's the only way you're really going to understand nutrition. All right. You can actually see it yourself. Right. So versus like just like, oh, well, I'm going to add more tofu into my life. I'm going to get more seitan and try to get protein from that. No, I mean, you could do that, but also start tracking, because then once you start tracking the foods, you'll learn how to combine the foods together to get the nutrients that you need, get the protein that you need, and also make sure that you get all the other vitamins and minerals that you actually need as well. All right. This what works. And again, I teach a lot of my students this. This literally plays the backbone of the program. Like the program that I sell to people and they get results, is the backbone of the program is counting macros. And the students don't have to do this forever. Okay, when it comes to counting macros, they don't have to do it forever. The whole point of it is just a learning tool so they can have a better understanding when it comes to the vitamins and minerals, when it comes into the plant-based foods that they're consuming. Because, for example, like I see it all the time, people commenting on my videos saying like, oh, you can't get protein, you can't get nutrients. And it's like, yeah, you can. If you track your nutrients versus just listening to what people say, right? And just do your own due diligence and start tracking, that's the way you're going to know. It's the reality. And I feel that some of the misinformation that's being spread online, especially when people are saying like there's no reason to track, especially if they're telling you like tracking calories and tracking macros and all that stuff is stupid. But eat more meat though. It's like they're stopping you from to even do your own due diligence, and they're trying to fear you from even doing that due diligence, because if you don't do it, then you're never going to know, and you're only going to be led by the blind. So it's like they say, like, would you let the blind lead the blind? Of course not. But this is the tactic that's definitely playing a lot on social media, especially when it comes to a lot of misinformation. They don't want you to actually do your own due diligence. Start finding out where you can get nutrients from. See that from yourself. And downloading MyFitnessPal isn't that hard. Just go on the App Store, download MyFitnessPal, right? Start scanning and plugging in the foods. And another app that's really good if you want to go even deeper, because here's the problem with MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal doesn't show all the vitamins and minerals. It just shows the essentials. Okay. Now I've tested both of them, Chronometer and MyFitnessPal, but Chronometer definitely shows more. Like it's going to show you everything, like all the vitamins and minerals, every single one. So you're not missing not even a drop. Now, I personally don't like Chronometer just because I feel for some people it may be too much information, right? And it could get people a little bit too overwhelmed trying to get every single vitamin and mineral in their diet every single day. I think that can really mess someone up psychologically. But that's why I like MyFitnessPal, because it just shows you the essentials. And again, I did test both, and it's more likely like this. If you're getting all the essentials, then which is and I could actually pull it up right now. So on MyFitnessPal, the essentials is going to be like tracking like your protein, your carbohydrates, fiber, sugar, fat, saturated fat, polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats, your trans fats, cholesterol, sodium, calcium, and iron. These are the essentials. Okay. Let me see if I can like share this so y'all can see it as well. Just give me a sec. Oh yeah, I always forget. Like on here, you can't really show your phone, but like there you go. You can't see just a reflection. Yeah, I can't really see it, but if you download MyFitnessPal, you'll definitely see it. Okay, but it definitely shows you those essentials, and as long as you're hitting the good ones, because obviously there's some that you don't want to be get hitting, or too much. Like you don't want to be getting like too much saturated fat. It's good to track it, but you don't want to be getting a lot of that. And now on a plant-based diet, you don't really have to worry about saturated fat unless you're adding in like coconut or some type of coconut oil into your diet or something highly processed. Um, then it's good to track. But if you're eating very clean, that number won't go up. The same thing with cholesterol. If you're not doing like anything that's highly processed, it shouldn't be going up at all on a whole foods plant based diet. So those two should be low, especially as trans fat should be like zero to none, or a little bit to none if you're on a whole foods plant based diet. Okay, any type of processed foods, things that's highly processed, can definitely bring those numbers up. But everything else, I would say, you want to make sure you're hitting those numbers good. Like you really want to hit those numbers. Now, let me see if there's any questions so far. Yeah, people just tell me that what they're using. We have Happy Energy Journey from Instagram stating that she uses Chronometer, which is cool. Yeah, so she knows exactly what I'm talking about because Chronometer is literally like my MyFitnessPal on steroids. You know what I'm saying? It's going to give you so much information. But let's go ahead and keep moving on. Now, to get the protein, and I made videos on this as well. To go even deeper with the protein levels. This to get the protein, you want to make sure that you're adding some other foods into your diet, right? So when people usually go 100% whole foods plant based or mostly whole foods plant based, the again I say that I get majority of my protein from like tofu, tempeh, seitan, and then you have like alternative meats, right? And you have ultra processed all the way down to minimally processed, and you have like protein powders, like supplements, right? So these are the things that you can get majority of your protein. And when I say majority, I would say like I don't know if I could put this in a percentage, maybe like you know like 20% of your diet should come from like some of these items. So it's not even a lot, right? But then but then when you incorporate like the other foods, like let's say lentils and nuts and seeds, because I've made video, and what I was trying to say before is like I made videos stating like don't eat nuts to get protein. And I even go into detail when I make these videos. I mean, obviously the headline is to get someone's attention, like what the hell is this guy's talking about? But what I'm trying to state is mostly that you don't want to be eating like only nuts, right? Like I stated in the beginning of this video, like who eats like who's going to try to eat 35 cups of broccoli to make the same equivalent of protein amount to this piece of steak? That's insane. Like I don't think anything bad's going to happen to you, but it's just a lot of protein. I mean, it's a lot of broccoli. But the same thing with like with nuts and stuff like that, nuts and seeds. Like you don't want to just be consuming purely just all hemp seeds, like a bunch of hemp seeds, like 30, 50 tablespoons of hemp seeds just to get about like 50 grams of protein. Like it would be kind of, again, I don't think anything's going to happen to you, but I feel that it's just a little excessive, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to the foods. I teach them food combinations. So for example, if we're building a meal, and I could even talk about one of the meals I had today. I think that would be the best example, right? Is one of the meals I had today. So one of the meals I've had was called a broken burger bowl. Now, this one would be like a cheeseburger broken bowl because I added like some Miyoko's vegan cream cheese, right? Which has minimal ingredients, and I also added some soy milk in there to make it a little bit more creamier, right? And but majority of the protein is coming strictly from the seitan, right? Even though there's protein in soy milk, there's protein in the vegan cheese, and there's protein in all the vegetables that I use. So, for example, the meal that I had was over 691 calories overall. Okay, now the ingredients that I use First, let's start off with the most amount of protein, so you can have an idea what I'm talking about, right? So I use about 8 ounces of seitan, right? So and my total protein intake is about 180 per day, somewhere around 180 to like 200. But I'm thinking about just dropping it down to more of 180 again, because when I was in the 200s, it was very, very difficult. When it came to a lot of the foods I was consuming, and I just didn't. I always felt full. I felt too full because remember, I'm bulking right now. I just felt uncomfortable doing that much protein. So I went back to where I felt comfortable again, which was like 180. Okay, and since then I feel great. Um, but again, I'm doing about 180 to 200. Okay, and I did about 8 ounces of seitan. Right now, the seitan that I use is from Upton's. Right, Upton's Natural Grocery. So if you find Upton's, you can find it pretty much anywhere. Whole Foods, Publix, if you have it in your area. I think Target picked them up so far. I know they're at a couple grocery stores. I'm trying to Sprouts. They're at Sprouts. They're all over. You can find them. But the one that I like to use the most is because they do have different types of seitan. The one I use the most is the Chipotle. I think it's called Chipotle beefless crumbles. I think it's called that. Right now, out of that, the 8 ounces out of that, pretty much, which is the whole box, excuse me, is about 68 grams of protein. Okay, 20 grams of carbs, 2 grams of fat. Okay, that's it. And that's where I'm getting a lot of my protein from. Okay, then just for this meal, right? Then after that, I get the other amounts of protein from other foods, like whole foods. So, for example, I use like 100 grams of bell pepper, which has about 1 gram of protein, 6 grams of carbs, zero fats. So even though that 100 grams of bell pepper only gave me 1 gram of protein, you see what I'm saying? It still counts as protein. You know what I'm saying? And also, what I take into consideration by doing that is I'm looking at the micronutrients because I'm not so hyper fixated on just the macros. And I think even when people talk about counting macros, they're just fixated on calories and macros, but then they're not fixated on fiber intake, which is good for your gut microbiome. This is where you're going to get a lot of your pre and probiotics. And then they're not fixated on the micronutrients, like the vitamins and minerals that you're going to get. And this is going to help with overall wellness, okay, of your body. So with the bell pepper, even though I'm only getting that 1 gram of protein, right, I'm also getting 1% of my daily value of calcium. I'm getting 2% of my daily value of iron, all right, about 175 milligrams of potassium. I'm getting about 63% of my daily value of vitamin A, which is really good for like your skin and stuff like that. And then over 213% of my daily value of vitamin C, which is good for inflammation, also good for your immune system as well. Okay. So that's why not all calories are the same. When I say this in videos, not all calories are the same because it's not. Because with the calories, with the 31 calories that I'm getting from the bell pepper, I'm also getting tons of vitamins and minerals. Even though I'm only getting 1 gram of protein, that's being added to the seitan. Does that make sense? All right. And then going into the next ingredient, I use about 8 garlic cloves. Okay. And I chop them down. Now, in that, I'm getting about 2 grams of protein. Again, it adds on about only 8 grams of carbs. But again, I'm getting even though it's low, again, I'm getting tons of micronutrients, right? But and I'm going to kind of go fast with this because I think y'all get it by now, right? But about 96.2 milligrams of potassium, about 12.5% of your daily value of vitamin C. Okay. And then also with the fiber, I'm getting about a gram of fiber. Then we're going to move down into nutritional yeast. Now, nutritional yeast, if anyone who's never heard about it or anyone who's like listening to this and they're interested in transitioning to a plant-based diet, um, when it comes to nutritional yeast, one of the questions, right, that people ask is, well, beef has B vitamins. You can't get B vitamins being vegan, right? So you have to supplement. So when it comes to nutritional yeast, this is a fortified food that has like a cheesy flavor, and it's like this yellow flakes, and you could literally sprinkle on it on everything. And even when it comes to my blood results, I wish I could show y'all, but like the phone does not sync with this app that I'm using, right? But if I could show you, which I have shown it in the past, right? I did this blood test about last year in November, I believe. Uh, my B12 levels was out of range. Maybe I just bring it up right here, so I can even give you the actual number. Um, just give me a sec while I do that. Let me see. And again, y'all can ask questions, things like that. It's not a big deal. I can answer those things. So yeah, okay. So I have it brought up. So let's see. Here is my B vitamins. So we got calcium, creatine. We got the potassium. I think I'm getting closer to it because I'm seeing. All right, so vitamin B12 is again, this was collected, and man, I wish I can show y'all. There you go. There you go. So y'all can see right here where it says B12 right there. It's a little blurry, but you can kind of read that out, which says B12. And it's actually out of range. Look at that. It's 1,685 uh, per gram per deciliter. Okay, so it's really high. All right, so it's like, so you already know, like, I'm vegan, so how I'm getting that much B12, and that's basically just because nutritional yeast, some soy milk here and there, which has B vitamins in it. I also think some of it is also from because from time to time I do energy drinks that has like is 0 calorie energy drinks like Celsius that has B12 vitamins in it. I'm not saying I'm not endorsing saying like drink Celsius for B12s, but like, what I'm saying? But I do have it from time to time, mostly for energy, but on the same token, they have tons of B vitamins in it. So you're getting a lot. But something that I would do on a consistent basis for sure, and what I do consistently would be the nutritional yeast. Okay. And you can find nutritional yeast anywhere. So this is where you're going to get a lot of your B vitamins. And you only need about 2 tablespoons to really get a abundance amount of B12. So you don't even need that much of it, really. But I do about 2-3 tablespoons per day. Okay, I kind of just sprinkle a lot, especially for breakfast. That's what I usually do. Now, if we're going back, like I use about 10 grams of the nutritional yeast. I get about 5 grams of protein just from that. Okay, so like I usually do that. Someone asks, is sparkling water taxing on your body? Just turned vegan last month. Love your content. No. I mean, sparkling water is not taxing on your body, not at all. There's nothing wrong with sparkling water. It's actually very healthy for you. It's a great tool to have if you're dieting or something like that, and you want something to actually curb your appetite, and you're trying to stay in a deficit a lot better. It's sparkling water is one of my number one go-tos that I tell a lot of my students to do. And the reason I tell them to do this is because, when most people are usually transitioning to a plant-based diet, or, just trying to stay adherent to a calorie deficit, we have to know certain things. One of them is basically like If you want to lose body fat, you have to be in the deficit, right? So we already know that. But number two is we have to stay adherent to that deficit to actually lose the fat. So it can't be like one day I'm eating a bunch of food, another day I'm in a deficit. I want to starve myself another day and then cheat the next day. No, it doesn't work like that. The best way for it to work is being consistent every single day, being in that deficit until you achieve your goals. That's the best way and the fastest way to get to your results. Now, in the beginning of a deficit, you will be hungry. Like it's common, especially if you have a big appetite and you ate a lot of calories coming from like 3,000 calorie, or you just never tried and you're just eating like a bunch of pastries and eating foods that's very calorically dense, right, on a normal day basis, and then you're going into a deficit. It's common that people get hungry. All right, it happens from time to time with my students as well. And I usually tell them like give it about a week or two. Okay, it's going to be really tough in the beginning, especially if you have a big appetite and you're just very accustomed to eating high caloric foods. Like you're going to get adjusted to it because once you start moving mostly to a whole foods plant-based diet, and then you're eating those foods. I mean, obviously, I try to build these meal plans filled with fiber, like very, very high in fiber, and I use a lot of vegetables and fruits when it comes to building these plans. All right, especially for someone that's in the deficit. Why? Because the fruits and veggies are literally like the lowest in calories of all the food groups. It's unless we're including water, right? But like it's super duper low. But then at the same time, you're getting tons of vitamins and minerals, and it's also high in fiber, and that means that the individual is going to be able to get more volume of food. That means they could eat more food, right? More volume of food. They can literally eat more food and not get hit by tons of calories because so low in calories, which is going to make it easier to stay more satiated in a caloric deficit. Now, here's the thing: even though it's slow burning, like some people just don't feel full because it's vegetables. It is going to burn pretty quick, even though it's digesting slowly. It will burn through your stomach pretty fast, right? So the thing is like that's why I try to build these plans with a lot of volume, and because there's a lack of sodium, there's also lack of sugar. Those ingredients aren't getting hit like they're accustomed to either, so they crave certain things like sugar and salt in those diets, and half of the time they're not even hungry; they're just craving a particular craving like sugar and salt, which going on to the next subject, some of the most addictive foods are foods that's made with sodium, salt, sugar, and fat. Okay, these are the most addictive food groups. All right, so but to answer your question, no, sparkling water does not tax your body. You can still drink it. I would definitely, continue to drink regular water as well. But if you want sparkling water from time to time or whatnot, it's not going to tax out your body. Let's see. Matthew Bodybuilding Strength. Hey, thanks a lot, man. Totally appreciate that. Let's see. I eat plant-based each day. Hemp heart, 2 tablespoons to get 10 grams of protein. Yeah. Hemp seeds definitely does have tons of protein in it. And then let's see who else. Let's check out Instagram, see if anyone has any questions on that. No. Oh, well, someone asked me my thoughts on Eddie Abu. I can't answer that. There's a few questions. There's another question too, but I'll answer both. So my thoughts on Eddie Abu is like, like I made content on him, but if you ask me about like my true feelings about him, like it's just like with a lot of people, like I don't care what they do really. Like I don't have anything personal against anybody. And that's why when I make my content, I don't even when I do when I do these reactions with against other influencers, like that's why I don't talk to them. Like if you listen, if you watch, well, I'm trying to say this the best way possible. So the thing is this when I make the content and I do these reaction videos, and it's not just Eddie Abu, but anybody, right? I never attack them to who they are as a person, like personally. I only disagree to their approach or statement or the video that they created. And if you saw and you see all my content, I'm never degrading anybody. I don't say like this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's stupid. I don't go that deep into it. No, I don't think I never will. Because it's just not me. I, and me personally, I just don't care. It's just that if I see something that I disagree, I react to it and I tell you why. And that's it. Eddie, overall, if I ever met him in person, is probably a very nice guy. Like behind the camera's off, whatever. He's probably an amazing person. You know what I'm saying? He's probably a nice guy. He's just, only thing he's doing is he's showing what he believes that is right, and he's sharing that to other people. Because he, when it comes to fitness influencing, I feel that, everyone is just expressing their own personal journey. Number one. Number two, they all want to help everybody, but in the ways that it helped them. You know what I'm saying? And then lastly is that, I feel that most people really just, they just, I don't think there's anyone who wants to kill anybody, but maybe their approaches might be a little bit more extreme than others, I think. And because you do have that fine line when it comes, especially on social media, when it comes to marketing and promoting yourself. And some people are like that. And some people know what they need to do to get the attraction that they need. Some people could do it, some people can't. You know what I'm saying? So to answer your question about Eddie Abu, that's how I look at it. I don't really care that much, but if I do see content that he talks about vegans or, when it comes to plant-based nutrition and I don't agree to it, I'll react to it, but I would never degrade him as a person, personally as a person. No, it's no need, because I have friends, I have family members who don't agree to my approach. Am I going to hate them for that? You know what I'm saying? Nah, it's okay to disagree, and I feel like with the whole social media stuff that's going on now, people are quick to cancel or unfollow someone just because they disagree with one thing, you know. And there could be a lot more things about that individual than just one video that made you dislike them. You know what I'm saying? So, because there's some stuff that I agree with Eddie. There's things that I agree. Like when he talks about, thermodynamics and how to lose weight. And when he talks about junk food, he's like, junk food is trash. It is trash. I agree to those statements. But if he talks more about, veganism, it's malnourished, you can't get healthy, you can't lose weight, counting macros are stupid. I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't hate the guy because of the content he makes. I think it's some of it's kind of funny, some of it's very entertaining. But there's stuff that he does say that's legit, I'll see, and I think with everyone's content, there's more to it. You know what I'm saying? And I've said this before all the time that you're only giving people about 60, 90 seconds to explain something. So if you kind of really think about it before people, and I don't get a lot of hate, but I get more love and hate for sure. But but when people hate on my content, I don't take it that seriously because I'm like, first they don't agree. Obviously, that's why they're leaving a negative content, but a negative comment. But also second, whatever they try to twist out of the twist out of the video and take it out of context, it's only 69 seconds. I mean, what do you I mean? How much information you think you're going to get out of that? You know what I'm saying? So to answer that question, that's how I look at it. Someone else asked, let's see, are you vegan because of health or diet? Well, I would say health and diet would be pretty much in the same realm. Okay. But I would assume that what you meant is, are you vegan for animals or for health, right? or if it's for the diet. So the thing is this: I'm vegan for the animals because if we really want to be specific with words, you know what I'm saying, is that veganism is an ethical stance for animals, right? Like animal liberation. That's what vegan means. But it does get put out of context all the time because everyone feels that veganism is a diet, you know, but it's more on an ethical stance, right? So for animal liberation. So I am vegan for the animals, like for animal liberation. Like I believe that animals shouldn't be treated the way they get treated. And, you know, people should move more towards a plant-based diet to reduce as much suffering and violence and killings to these animals as much as possible. I feel that it's not necessary, right? Especially the world we live in. And when people tell me about, like, what about people in Alaska and this and you know, I don't care about all that stuff. I care about people who lives in the first world country. So when I make comparison, like when people start talking out of context, I'm like, and they're worrying about people who live in Alaska and they live in Miami, Florida. I'm always like, you know, worry about yourself. Like, what can you do? I'm not worried about the people in Alaska. The people in Alaska aren't the ones that's creating they're not putting money in pockets in large animal farming. Okay. They're not the ones. All right. People like us who's living in a first world country, living in metropolitan cities are, right? So like, I'm like, is it really necessary for everyone to be over consuming all these animals? No, it's not, right? It's not really necessary. So it's one of the reasons why I'm vegan. Now, when it comes to my diet, I'm mostly whole foods plant based. Okay, when it comes to my diet, even though, so that means that majority of the foods that I eat is made from real foods, like single ingredient foods, to simplify that. Okay, like broccoli, nuts, seeds, black beans, kidney beans, you know, things like that. Simple ingredient foods. Now, when I say mostly, about 80% of my diet usually is whole foods plant based. Okay. Then out of that 20% is going to be processed. So you have, and out of that 20, if we even diversify that or break that down, it's probably like 10% is coming from 10 to 15% is coming from minimally processed foods. So you're looking at like tofu, seitan, protein shakes. And this is, again, at the beginning of the video, I was explaining about where I get the majority of my protein from. And then maybe that last 10% would come, which will balance each day, is coming from like maybe ultra processed foods. So this is like, and I'm bulking. So right now, like, you know, yesterday I had cake and ice cream, you know, like it's my birthday, you know? So it's like, I had a cake and ice cream. So like, that's how it is. But do I have that every single day? No. Like my kryptonite is donuts. Do I have donuts every single day? No. So it's like those would be more considered like ultra processed because they're very high in sugar. You know, it's highly processed. You know, it's definitely not good for you. But you know, with moderation, it's fine. Okay. Now let's see. Any other questions? How much protein do you try to consume daily? Well, not really try. It's not really try. So how much protein I actually get is somewhere around, and I said this in the beginning, is 180 to 200. It's not really trying because
adult women need, on average, 46 grams of,
because I'm not really trying that hard, you know, and that's why I just want to, you know, say that, like, I'm not really trying that hard. It's pretty easy for me. But I do get about 180 to 200 grams of protein per day. And this is all coming from Instagram. All these questions. Let's see. I think that's it for now. Yeah, that's it for now. All right, so I think that's pretty much it. I'm getting close to end of the live. So with that said, if anyone has any other questions, I'm down to answer them. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and end this live and just go from there. But from what it looks like that's pretty much it. So yeah, hopefully this video was helpful. Again, I do this every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with these lives. Also, at the same time, if you want more information or if you need some help, um, when it comes to getting protein into your diet, just go ahead, talk to me on Instagram. It's best to talk to me on Instagram. And then you can also hit me up on TikTok. YouTube is kind of hard to have any type of conversation. But if you go on Instagram or on TikTok, DM me New Vegan and then say, hey, I saw your live. So DM New Vegan, I saw your live, and I'll send you my free ebook, No Wheat Vegans. All right, to help you out, so you can learn how to get your protein. Okay, and that is it. So with that said, I'll go ahead and let y'all go, and hopefully y'all have a great rest of your day. Peace.